Good start, unmuted. I'm Andrew, a teacher at Elizabeth Woodville Primary. With the great privilege of being an Edtech demonstrator across the East Midlands. I can use tech, honestly. Well, a little bit. So I've got two colleagues with me. I'm hoping they'll pop up as I introduce them. So I'd like to introduce Sarah Crowhurst, who is our Edtech project coordinator. Next to Sarah is James Crowhurst, who is our Edtech lead practitioner. Now, you will notice that James and Sarah are both together on one screen. So we'll just let you know about that right now.
Yeah, we do always have to point out that we are married, so we don't have to socially distance. We might want to socially distance, but we don't have to socially distance.
We're in the same bubble, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Excellent, all good fun. So we've got the catchy title, and it's all about, we hear a lot about the fact that it's Google Classroom or it's Microsoft Teams, and we're primary school, and what we've found is actually when you merge other platforms in, particularly in the infants, you can get real gains and real results. So our title, it's not one or the other, it's about using a variety of platforms, particularly building from early years and the infants. And you'll see a range of those, and we'll describe how to use them and how to evolve them through your school. And I'm sure, hopefully, you'll see many similarities in the work you're currently doing on remote learning. So Sarah's going to set the scene, and she's going to tell us a little bit about the key considerations that you need to think about.
Yeah, so first of all, think about your school's needs. So some platforms are easier to use at primary level, especially for EYFS and Key Stage 1. You really don't have to shoehorn all of your school into one platform if it doesn't work for you. Look at the platforms before you decide, look at all of them, and don't be afraid to tweak, even if you've made a decision. If it's not working for you, it's not working and something needs to change. But then don't change a platform that's already working for you. So if you already use Dojo, for example, in Key Stage 1, you really don't have to change to Teams or Google Classroom just because. I'm saying all of that, there are ways to make platforms more Key Stage 1 and EYFS friendly.
So one of the advantages we have is having worked with a range of schools now across the East Midlands, we're picking up tips all the while. And what we think here is a good outline of it, what combined platform progression can offer to you as schools. And we'd advocate in early years, in Key Stage 1, pick one of the primary friendly approaches. We're going to detail those in a moment and why we feel they're really useful. But mostly they're great because of ease of access. That's ease of access for pupils, ease of access for parents, but also it's great for staff because if you're starting out on that journey for remote learning, you want something that's user-friendly, quick to pick up, and then you can evolve it as you go and you build that expertise. Now, a primary friendly platform will actually cater really well right through the primary age range. So you can continue working on it in lower Key Stage 2, and that's where pupils will develop mastery of those skills. And we're going to show you exactly what that would look like. But at the same time, when you've got that mastery, it's now time to introduce tools from one of the enhanced platforms. And that's what we would term something like Google Classroom or Microsoft Teams that are incredibly versatile and powerful, but you maybe start out with just some of the essential tools that we'll talk about in a moment. Then when you've developed those skills, you're in upper Key Stage 2, don't forget the primary friendly platform, use that as the bedrock. It's so user-friendly and so useful, and we'll show you how to use that. But actually, you're then developing in Google Classroom or Microsoft Teams, and it's just a greater repertoire. And what we always see is the quality of what the pupils can produce with that more complex platform really works well, and you're layering other apps. You are going to hear in the third presentation more about live lessons, but again, don't be afraid to use something different there. Just because you're in the Google platform, it doesn't mean you have to use Google Meet. Use something that you're most comfortable with in your school that works for you. So James is going to take us through in a bit more detail how that progression would work from our point of view.
Okay, yeah, so if we start with EYFS in Key Stage 1, this is where we would use our primary friendly platform. So Elizabeth Woodville, we use Seesaw, but we've been supporting schools through the Edtech Demonstrator Programme using Class Dojo and Tapastry as well. They're all primary friendly. They've all got ease of access. Seesaw and Class Dojo use QR codes for signing in, so children can get into the platform really easily. They don't have to type in a big long email address and remember passwords, which is always one of the biggest stumbling blocks for accessing any platform for primary schools. They have the ability to create activities in all three of them, and with that you can do instructional videos, so you telling the children how to complete the activity or explaining how they're going to do things. The tools are built into the platform as well. So the children can use drawing tools and recording tools to be able to explain things and show their work. But then we've been also talking to schools about just using photos and videos to get work back. And again, Seesaw, Dojo, Tapastry all allow you to do this. So you can just use a mobile phone and get work back through a photo or through a video. And especially in EYFS in Key Stage 1, their curriculum's very creative. They don't want to be in front of a computer all the time. They want to be away from a computer. So they can see the work that they've got to do as the activity. They can go off, they can be creative, and then the photo can be taken, or a little video of them explaining what they've done can be taken and then submitted back as work. They also allow for the teachers to mark the work through voice. So again, EYFS in Key Stage 1, if the children do struggle with reading at that stage, and voice marking is so much more appropriate for them. So again, these tools are built into these platforms. It's making it so much more primary friendly. But obviously EYFS up to the end of Key Stage 1, so up to Year 2, the complexity of the platform can be increased as you go through. So we'd be expecting to see Year 2 children using it to enhance their learning much more. And they can be used within the school as well. It's not just about using it for remote learning. Again, we're telling the schools to use these for homework, using it in school to document and evidence things that are going on in school as well. And those hard to evidence things, like a child reading a book or doing a PE lesson, they're excellent for those sorts of things. And then if we move through into this is a demonstration of how Seesaw might look from our point of view. So you can see on a mobile phone, it's very straightforward to use. And they're the 6 tools that we've got access to in there. So you can just take a photo really easily, or then go into the drawing tool, upload. They can add voice instructions and create multimedia example videos as well. And so it's all there, it's all built into that one platform. And the children and the teachers all have access to the same tools, which keeps things simple. Then as we move into lower Key Stage 2, it's about the combination of the primary friendly and then the enhanced platform. So we're talking about here using a Dojo, Seesaw, Tapastry, and combining it with Teams or Google Classroom, and having that mastery in the primary friendly platform. So we start then to introduce the tools from the enhanced platform. So you might start to get them using Microsoft Word or PowerPoint or Google Docs, Google Slides as part of their remote learning or for their homework or in class learning, and getting them to use that with simple elements of the enhanced platform. So you can see on our slide down here, we've made our Google Classroom look very simple. We've laid it out in an easy to see way, easy accessible, with emojis as well for the children, for those children that find it hard to read. And then we've also added a Chrome extension called Mote, which allows teachers to record their voice. So again, we've got that voice marking bit going on in there, or the teachers can add class comments through their voice as well, which again makes it more accessible for lower Key Stage 2. And again, we can add in instructional videos, but now we're looking at getting work back through documents. So getting work back by things made in Google Docs or Google Slides, using quizzes as well, self-marking quizzes, which saves you lots of time, but still saying it's okay to have photos and video of the work coming back as well. We still want that creativity and having things happening away from the computer, and also hitting that issue of the lack of tech at home. It might just be one device, so a child can be passed around the children, so the child can see what they've got to do, go off and do it, and then they take a photo to submit it later, or it could just be on the parent's mobile phone. Marking and feedback then is through written and voice feedback, so we're developing it further as we go through. And then we move into upper Key Stage 2. So this is where we're saying the enhanced platform usage comes into play. And we're using Google Classroom at Elizabeth Woodville, but we've also supported schools with Teams as well. And it's much more Key Stage 2 appropriate, but it's still okay to use that primary friendly platform. There might be a time when you want the children to create and explain a video, and they can do that very easily in that primary friendly platform and export the video and put it into Google Classroom or Microsoft Teams. And that's where we're then saying about combining these platforms. And this talks a little bit about Lee mentioned earlier, as it being a bit of a hub. So you could point the children off to using things like Kahoot or Jamboard or Kami. Teachers could use Loom, or the children could use Loom to record their screen. You could point them off to My Maths or Timetables Rockstars, all those different things that we use in primary school. And this is the hub, and we're sending them off to those places. And then again, we're getting the work back through documents, quizzes, photos, videos, etc. as before. But then the marking, well, it's not just written and voice marking that we're using. We're also putting comments into documents. So highlighting a certain word in a document or a certain sentence or paragraph in a document and marking that as we would be marking a book. And then the children get that work back. They can then work on it and submit it back again. So it's creating that two-way conversation with the children, just like you'd have in the classroom. So again, this is how an assignment would look in Google Classroom. So again, it's much more Key Stage 2 appropriate, and you've got lots of different things you can access in there. So you've got things like YouTube videos, Google Docs, Google Slides, etc. in there. But then we also think it's important to think about the staff. And I'm going to pass on to Andrew to talk about the staff platform here.
So we've all talked about the need for a hub, and we often would recommend that a staff platform would emulate the platform you're using with pupils and with parents. It's more cohesive that way, it's more collaborative, but it's not necessarily the way you want to go. Always base it on your school's strengths and what you feel is most appropriate. But actually, we're finding that using those platforms where you can all share documents at the same time, you can all collaborate on them simultaneously, it really helps increase effectiveness, productivity. So it's all about looking and building on your training. And by starting with a simple platform like the Seesaw or the Class Dojo, staff are getting success really quickly, pupils and parents are getting success really quickly, and then you can develop it from there. So really just make the right decision for your school. There's so many tools out there. They all do similar jobs. It's working with the one that your school's most comfortable with. And I think we just want to leave you with these key messages because these are some things just to think about when managing multiple platforms. When we work with schools as part of the Edtech Demonstrator Programme, what we're looking for with senior leadership teams is finding early adopters in all key stages. So we're looking to train the champions within the school, and they'll then cascade that training to others. They'll provide that ad hoc support day in, day out when people need it. And actually that builds success really quickly with those in-house experts. That will help the school overcome any of their own barriers that are there.
And then we try and foster a culture of risk-taking with this. So try new things, try new platforms, try new assignments on platforms. Really don't be afraid.
And then it's about managing those parental expectations. One of the things we've found at primary level in particular is parents have quite a high expectation of what they're expecting us to be doing. And it's very important that you set those ground rules from the outset and make sure parents are aware of how you're running with it. And they know your plan and where you're going. And this isn't going to happen overnight. So just set out the expectations right at the start so the parents don't kick up a fuss later.
Yeah, this is all going to take time. There's going to be barriers to cross, but all of it generally will lead to wow moments of success, hopefully.
So that concludes our presentation. I say thank you for listening.